This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Happy Friday, everybody, as we welcome you into Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're live, as always, downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. And I think when you get sick, it gets worse before it gets better. Correct? And maybe that's where we're at today, because yesterday I was feeling it a little bit, and now the congestion is really here. So we're going to fight the good fight today.
We are, but I don't really care about that, because now that we're on camera, I realize that this is a good color combination. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Don't really care how you're feeling at this point. Just don't get me sick.
He, in the commercial before we came on, legitimately was questioning the over-under of how many people were going to make comments negatively
I think you're going to say the
about
word.
his outfit.
I was like, whoa.
No.
You know it's a Friday, Justin, because she's going.
No, come on. I got limits, y'all. But so,
you already broke the
if
SEC
you agree,
violations already.
If you like JVT's outfit, make sure you let him hear about it. We got to get things started, though. Big show over the next 2 hours. Lots to get to, and a couple of great guests as well, which is where we will begin the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
JVT, where there's a Will, there's a Mike. VSiN betting analyst and host Will Hill is set to join us today. He's got a couple MLB plays and some college football futures that he's added to the account. And we're going to have Mike Palm in studio as usual for a full half an hour.
You know, that's, I think, a lot wittier than you thought it was. You know, you were going for where there's a will, there's a way, but also Will and Mike linebackers. I thought you were going with football as well, so that was pretty good, too. So that is a very layered little bit there. That's all I have to add. I can't wait to talk to Mike and Will.
The more you do. Also, how about this one? Chop wood, carry wood, considering this speech from Nick Sirianni has gone viral over the last couple of days. We will talk all things Eagles today as our NFL training camp tour stops in Philly. Could we see an NFC East three-peat? And more importantly, can all of the offseason changes the Eagles have made put them back in position to contend big picture?
Yeah, you know, it's funny when you see athletes and their children, right? Like, I don't know if you saw this the other day, but LeGarrette Blount Jr. is in like the next recruiting class or something like that. So when you see them ascend, you're like, oh crap, we're getting old. For some reason, Sean Mannion being an offensive coordinator does not stick with me, because I just remember him being a quarterback just a couple of years ago. But a lot of good things coming out of Philly about the changes for this offense, brand new receiving core, and the thought that, look, there's a very strong baseline of production that we expect from the Eagles, and a couple of interesting pieces on defense, namely a kid that was in the running for Defense Rookie of the Year, Jack Campbell, what his role is going to be for this team. So I'm excited to get into the minutia of what Philly's going to be this year.
Yes, we will talk about another team in the division in a moment as we discuss some training camp moves and manifesting, well, at least according to Dak Prescott. But first, let's start with the moves, because he's back. Free agent wide receiver Deebo Samuel going back to Cali, reuniting with the San Francisco 49ers yesterday. 1 year deal worth up to $7 million, depending on incentives. The move, of course, comes following what we discussed yesterday is Ricky Pearsall's injury being a little bit worse than the initial concerns led on. Also, Christian Kirk dealing with a calf injury right now. And our boss man, Steve Cohen, was texting us yesterday that it just made too much sense, and I agree. Obviously, the 49ers had a need, and Deebo was looking for a landing spot, and he's coming back home.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would not really – when we get to this point of these guys' careers, you can say linebacker, excuse me, you can say running back, you can say wide receiver, whatever it is. It is a name, and that's about it. I don't know about the level of production that you're going to get from him. Obviously, his best years were in a San Francisco 49ers uniform, but I think there's a reason why that you were available, we'll say. And so I think this is probably the best place to put him, only because his familiarity with the system. But you're obviously really dinged up, very thin at wide receiver, and you need the body. I don't know how excited I would be generally.
I don't know. First, Dre Greenlaw comes back. Now Deebo. It's given me 2023 vibes all over again. Could we get back to the mountaintop?
Why wasn't he on the team before?
What do you mean?
I mean, why wasn't he there? If he is such a great piece, why wasn't he there?
Because we had a loaded wide receiver room. We were feeling good about the talent that we had, obviously.
Whatever you got to do to feel better about yourself. I also don't want to say, like, Deebo. It's not like Deebo was trash still last year. He still had 727 yards. I'm not saying he's trash. What I'm just saying is I think there's a lot of times. You know what it reminds me of is the multiple times Odell Beckham Jr. near the tail end of his career was like getting on a team and you'd be like, man, we got Odell Beckham Jr. This is going to be great. And it's like,
Which, by the way, have you seen the highlights of him recently.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's already coming back.
Right. So, and that's just my whole point is, like, there is a reason why he's here, because the wide receiver core is so banged up and so thin that you need to go and get him. And I'm just curious as to what that level of production is. You are right. He had 727 yards receiving last year, but the 10.1 yards per reception, the lowest of his career up to this point. So, like, there's little things here and there you can look at and say, like, all right, like, you get why you're here. But at the same time, there is a reason, and the reason is attrition. And it's not like he is the best of the best. At this point, he's filling a need. And I do wonder what the production level is going to look like.
Well, I mean, this team at large, I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like. You have to think about all of the injuries that they went through last year. Still finished 12-5, but in the division that they play in, that 12-5 record made them third in the NFC West. So looking ahead to this year, are they a double-digit team again, like they have been? Last year, what was it? So I wrote this down. Purdy, Kittle, and Pearsall all missed 6+ games last year, and then obviously Bosa and Fred Warner suffered early season-ending injuries. Yet they've still gone over their win total in 3 of the last 4 years, 2 of those seasons with massive injuries. One they were able to overcome, one they were not. What do you think about them this year? In the NFC West, plus 305, third on the board. To make the playoffs, they're an odds-on number. Super Bowl opportunity, 19-1. Anything stand out to you about San Francisco?
I mean, so you would think that with the top 10 schedule in terms of ease, that they're going to have a pretty, like, firm floor, and that, look, I mean, I think Kyle Shanahan deserves the benefit of the doubt when it comes to some of these teams. He's done a really good job of getting the most out of them almost every single year, despite the attrition that they deal with almost every single time because of that electrical substation. I keep going back to...
How about that, by the way? Debo choosing to go back to the substation.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. I always go back to, I think I've brought this up to you before. I will never forget, except for the name, I will never forget we had an Atlanta radio guy on the year that he got hired. It was the year after the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl. And he came on with Ewens and I, and he said that Kyle Shanahan couldn't lead a group of men from the casino to the strip club in Las Vegas. Like, he just did not buy Shanahan as an option.
It's awful.
But he has proven him and many others wrong in just the ability to lead a franchise and get the most out of this group. So I do trust that he's going to get the most out of it. I think the question just becomes, what is the most out of a team that continues to get hit with injury after injury? I think it would be safe to say that I don't think it'd be shocking to see 10 wins. I think there's a reason why you're at 10.5 shaded to the under at -140. Are you going to get to that 12-win mark? I would be surprised. I would be very, very shocked if he was able to navigate that. And especially the back end of this schedule. I mean, overall, it seems like one of the easier schedules, but we've talked about this before. What if the upside hits with some of these teams? If you go from the bye week on, what if Kirk Cousins and the Raiders are a little bit better than you expect? Hell, what if Jaden Daniels is better than you expect? And you go through the schedule and you really realize that there's some really big tripping points potentially throughout the year that could really set this team off on a pretty negative path, especially if the injuries really ravage them. So to me, I'd lean to I think the market's getting this right. 10.5 under -140. I expect that they're going to be competent as always, but I would also expect that 10 seems to be one of the really good outcomes for this season.
You can get a juiced over 9.5 out there in the market as well, and I think that's probably the way that I would play it, because I do think they get to that double-digit win threshold again. Other bets on them in the plus money sphere, I'm not as sold on what they can be big picture, but obviously optimistic. And as a fan, I'm just going to play it week by week and try not to overreact to the week 1 game out there in Melbourne, Australia. Let's go out to Dallas, because Dak Prescott is not shying away from the lofty goals that there are year in and year out in Dallas. But is that realistic for this team? He rolled up to camp earlier this week wearing the old Super Bowl shirt from the last time that they had won 1995. While working out before camp, they came up with the acronym GOTI, greatest offense there is. And he spoke to media yesterday about trying to manifest a little bit for this coming season.
We want stuff in life a lot of times, but then, when people start talking about it, you kind of hesitate. Like, should I say that, if they're going to hold me to it? Well, absolutely. Playing in this organization, being in it 10 years, right, going into year 11, I'm not going to shy away from it. When you don't have it, it sucks. When you don't get to play for it, when you're watching other teams play in the playoff, there's nothing worse than that. And so, I said I'd be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys when I was 6 years old, and said I'd be in the NFL. And I got here. A lot of things in my life, I said I'd do, and I did it. And so, why shy away from that now? Why shy away from asking people to hold me to the same standard that I believe that I can accomplish and this team can accomplish? And so, I don't know if the T-shirt was, this is it, as much as, hell, I've said it in the offseason. I've said it before. I know Shotty's spoken about it. We've got certain teammates and leaders that'll do the same. So, it was an energy thing.
So, JVT, it's been 30 years since we have seen Dallas even make an NFC championship game at this point. Longest drought for any team in the NFC, coming off of back-to-back losing seasons as well. How do you forecast Dallas this year and in the division?
I think they win the division. I think they're good, man. And with Dak Prescott, too, we've have this weird, I don't know if it's but there does seem to be this lack of respect, for lack of a better term, for him as one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. Simply put, since 2019, when he has completed the season, he's thrown for 30-plus touchdowns in every single one of those seasons. Yep. He has been one of the higher-graded quarterbacks in the NFL by PFF standards over that span. He has finished high in MVP races. A couple of years ago, finishing second for most valuable player. This offense is great. You go back to some of the metrics for Schottenheimer as a play caller. We had hit on this on some of our Sunday shows. One of the better teams in the National Football League in expected points added and unscripted plays, or the first 20 to 15 plays of a game. They have everything in front of them. If their defense can be better, which I would expect they're going to get that. I've used the term a bunch, the creep back toward average. I think this is a very formidable team overall that everybody should be on the lookout for. I kind of buy what they're selling.
Whose defense is going to be better, Dallas or the Bengals? Because we're talking about two of the worst defenses in the league, right?
Sure.
But how they can get a little bit better this season.
I want to say Cincinnati because I think they've added the higher upside talent, but I think it's going to be pretty close. Wouldn't you?
Over the last two seasons, Dallas is last in points allowed per game, yards allowed per game, yards allowed per play, and opponent total QBR. Not good.
So with the offseason additions, maybe this is a question to answer for another show when we get to Dallas, but would it be more likely that they finish the same spot that they were or that they finish like top 12 defensively this year? Because I think that they've added enough, and I think they're going to be good enough.
Yeah, I would think more likely they would take a step up.
Yeah, right?
And you're going to be winning. You would assume if you're getting a little bit better, you're going to be winning more games, too, and be talked about in a different light. I know you brought this up in the rundown. Dak Prescott MVP odds, 13-1 right now. His over-under on passing yards, 3,999.5. He threw for over 4,500 in 2 of the last 3 years. Can he get there again? We got to step aside here on Money Moves when we come back. VP of Operations here at Circa, Mike Palm, is going to join us in studio. The Cubs about to get underway. What's his play on today's action? We'll be right back.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Oh, what a happy Friday it is here on Money Moves. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Fun, Tobel with you. Back here in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Excited, as always, on a Friday to have VP of Circa Operations here, Mike Palm, in studio with us. What's going on, my friend?
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Nice to be back with the two of you.
Lovely to have you back in studio. We've missed you.
Thank you so much.
And we have to get started, especially since you're wearing your Cubs for the Cure shirt right off the top. We've got first pitch for the Cubs and Yankees coming up in just a minute. Any thoughts early on the first game of the day?
My thoughts are that that series in the South Side at guaranteed rate this week had to take a lot out of both teams. Mm-hmm. So I'm leaning to play the Cubs today. I already bet Tampa tonight against the Sox. An fade of Fetty, Nick Martinez minus $1.38, and I'm like on the fence here of betting the Cubs. Maybe I'll watch the first few innings and look at it in game. I just think that was an incredibly exhausting series with 2 extra inning games the last 2 days, a day game yesterday. I give the White Sox a lot of credit. I thought that this might be the series where they start letting go of the rope, especially Monday night when the Yankees were on travel off of Sunday Night Baseball, where nobody wins, right? Travel off Sunday night, you're a dead loser. They were down 3-0, begging to get blown out, and they came back and won. The Sox committed 3 errors. The Yankees win the next night, and it's like...
That was the game with the bad send, too, around third for the White Sox, too, right? Yeah, it was brutal.
Oh, my God. He was out by 12 feet. Yeah. It was so bad. Yeah. But then they fought back from the 5-1 deficit and won on Wednesday night, and then a great pitching duel yesterday, and they came back. So credit to them, but I think they're pretty exhausted. And then you go to Tampa, where Tampa plays so well at home. I thought it was a pretty cheap price. I thought Tampa might be upwards of $150 tonight. So That takes care of all my major league plays so far today, actually.
Just a live betting note, maybe, though, coming out of that White Sox-Yankees series. If you are seeing the Yankees go to extra innings, just fade them. I didn't realize it was this bad. They're 1-8 in extra inning games this year, 5 straight losses. It has not gone well for them if you need extra baseball.
Yeah, I want to, before we go away from baseball, I wanted to ask John, I have my own thoughts on what's going to happen this weekend. And I know the Cubs are in the Scooble sweepstakes, but let's just take the Cubs as the example. Let's take the Cubs and the White Sox for the example. If you're the Cubs, you're going to end up with the number 1 wild card, seemingly, right? Which means you're going to have to win a wild card series, likely the Phillies. And then after that, you're going to have to beat the Dodgers and the Brewers in some order.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot. To give up a whole lot to try to make a big run this year, I think is tough. Whereas in the American League, it's so wide open. Like the Twins are buyers, right? All the Twins. I saw that last time. I'm like, oh my God, everybody in the American League is a buyer.
We're going to talk about it later, yeah.
Right? Everybody in the American League, they're going to be a buyer here. I mean, they gave away everybody last year for nothing because they thought they were selling the team. You could tell Joe Ryan how dejected he was when he pitched this week. That means he wasn't getting traded, right? When he looked that sad, he's been wanting to get traded since last year. So I think you have who's the monster in the American League? There's no monster out there. I think so. I think you can take some chances here.
I'm with you. You should, if I'll invoke the NBA. Kawhi this, right? Like the Toronto Raptors, they knew Kawhi Leonard that year was going to be a 1-year rental that they didn't want to stay. But you know what they did? They went and they traded for him from the San Antonio Spurs. They won a championship, and then he left. But I think that's worth it. I'm with you if you're any one of these teams. And to your point, especially if you're a wild card team, because I go back to it actually ties into the blackjack tournament that you let us participate in a couple years ago when I had the Astros. And they ran into the Tigers, and it was a best of 3. And who started the first game? Tobel. And you walk into that series knowing we're probably going to be down 1-0 in a best of 3. You want to be that team. So why not, if you're going to be one of these wild card teams, especially in a wide open American League, go and get the guy that is going to spike your probability of winning a series like that? Because I thought it was Buster Olney brought up a great point on ESPN. I was listening to one of his interviews. He was talking about the Dodgers going to get him, and he was like, look, in true probability, he's actually not increasing anything for them in the regular season at all. It's just going out and getting him because
another team.
Right, exactly. But if you're one of these American League teams, the probability of you winning a series and moving on, I think it increases exponentially if you go and get a guy like Scooble.
Meanwhile, JVT actually said yesterday for the Brewers, he thinks it would be like, what was the term you used? Like the biggest failure. Disappointment, abject failure if they don't end up getting him. The Dodgers are the biggest favorite.
They're going to get it back for pennies on the dollar.
But that was like my sports talk thing, right? It's like you have a good farm system, and to your point, like you can block the Dodgers from going to get him. You can block the Cubs from going to get him. That 1-2 punch of Mizorowski and Scooble at the top of your rotation potentially, I think it would be a disaster if the Brewers didn't go and get him.
I think if you're in the National League, you have to have somebody that can match up with Yamamoto twice in a series. Yeah. You really need that. And then, would the Padres really deal Miller? Like, you've got the best reliever in baseball under control for 3 years. How? I just can't see them doing it. But then if they are going to do it, go get him. I mean, and on a cheap contract.
By the way, from your lips to God's ears from like 14 minutes ago, the Mets scratched Freddie Peralta tonight.
Yeah, of course.
So it sounds like he's on the way.
Do you think the Padres can turn it around? They're back over 500 now.
They've been playing decently. But I don't think they're a serious contender. I mean, you're a wild card. You're 14 games back. You're going to be a wild card. So are you going to win 3 series? Do you have that? I mean, they have so many guys they're paying a lot of money to that aren't hitting the ball. It's hard for me to believe they can.
I wanted to ask you about MVP because with the Shohei injury stuff and obviously Pete Crow Armstrong being right there, when you look at that market, do you see this as a discount on Shohei now, or is PCA the guy?
Well, Mitch said he bet him at -120 this week, Ohtani. I find it ludicrous that we're dismissing the 83 innings Ohtani pitched.
Yep.
Jensen said this week, Jensen Lewis, co-host with Dave Ross of VEASAN by the Books, which airs on this network from 4 to 7 a.m. Pacific time.
Every weekday morning,
said if Ohtani doesn't pitch another inning, he has 0 chance of winning the MVP. I take umbrage with that. I really do take if Pete Crow Armstrong made 5 starts as a pitcher, we'd all say, oh, he's the MVP. But we're gonna discount Ohtani? And they say, oh, and in his last 5 starts, he had a 4 ERA. Oh, listen, Which voters are stopping what they're doing to go see Pete Crow Armstrong bat or pitch? That's not happening. So I don't get the narrative. And then my final argument is Ohtani never told any Padres bride to be to go S is F and D.
Yeah.
So those are all my arguments.
You could have. We just didn't understand it, right? No, I'm with you. So it does. You know what it reminds me of? So there's 2 points here. First off, I'll always invoke. So I got to when I was out in San Francisco for the Super Bowl because it was the big debate with Stafford and Drake May for MVP. And so I talked to Adam Shine about this when we were out there on his show. And I asked him, like, how do voters view things when you're talking about this? Because as bettors, we're always like point to point. Okay, start here, plate appearance here. We're going to move the odds as it goes along. Where a lot of the voters take the surface level view of the season. They're going to see all the starts that he made as part of his profile and say, like, yeah, that's part of the MVP. And I think they're going to lean toward voting for him because that's part of what it does. It reminds me of one of the years when he was in Anaheim and he won MVP. And a lot of people were arguing for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And one of the things that was an argument against Ohtani was, well, his ERA is like over 350. He's like, he has an ERA. That's the point. That's the point of all of this. So I'm with you. But I think Mitch got it wrong in that you know how these betting odds work. If he continues to just perform at whatever level offensively, I'm willing to bet that at one point you're going to get like even money or something on Ohtani. Yeah. Right? Like when you wait to see.
They also, this theory that he's one of the greatest defensive center fielders, that's hogwash to me. I watch them play every day. Yeah. He's committed 4 errors, and how about all the errors that outfielders don't get because they misjudge the ball, it doesn't hit their goal. There's at least 6 other balls he should have caught. There was a stretch for 2 weeks, remember, where he couldn't do anything in center field. Sure. So I'm just...
but he had another nifty snag last night.
Yeah, it's great. That's terrific.
Because you mentioned VSiN by the books, you're obviously a regular on that program on Thursdays as well. And I caught a little bit of your spot yesterday where you were talking about the entries over here for Circa Survivor and Circa Millions just continuing to outpace everything that you have seen. But you also said maybe in the coming days or next week that Grandissimo could get a nice bump.
Yeah, I think because of Bet Bash. We're anticipating 5 to 10 entries come from Bet Bash. After today, we'll be behind pace because remember we were at 11 on August 1st last year, and we're at 5 right now. But ask me next Friday. Yeah. I think that number 5 will probably be 12 to 15.
What's Bet Bash going to be like this year? Chaos.
Well, it's always a little bit of organized chaos. They're doing a dunk tank this year on Friday to raise money for. Autism in New Jersey. Spanky's from New Jersey, so it's some autism thing in New Jersey. But he's looking for more volunteers. I know Hoops Peterson.
You're lying.
No, Hoops Peterson wants to be in the dunk tank.
Are you going to get in there?
No, why would I get in there? First of all, I host the Hall of Fame ceremony later on Friday, so I don't want to go in a dunk tank and then. I don't have a shower in my office like Derek does.
You can't borrow his?
I begged Jeff Benson to do it.
I was going to say.
I said they could cure autism, Jeff, if you got.
Yeah, like nothing against our boy Greg, but like it's somewhat arrogant for him to think that he's worthy of being dunked. Correct?
He
like
requested?
you would want
he
somebody.
Volunteered.
Yeah, you would want somebody that would be attractive to other people to dunk. Right? Somebody that is disliked. Benson would be a good one.
Benson would be but he's a polarizing figure,
Correct.
Benson, right? So he would be a good one. Yeah.
As we talk about,
I'm hosting, by the way. I'm hosting a panel. Not hosting. I'm presenting the panel. I'm the guest. I don't think there's a moderator, but it's about the day-to-day, how you run a casino, and the challenge you have of running a casino and a book and all that. So it'll be largely a question and answer session.
Beautiful. As we get closer to that, it'll be fun to preview that a little bit more and see how it goes afterwards. Do want to remind you all while we're talking about contest season being here, Sunday is the last day if you want to enter for the opportunity to get 2 prize packages from our friends here at VSiN and Winner's Circle Proxy. One winner will receive a $1,000 entry into the Circa Survivor contest, another into Circa Million, and both winners are going to get not only a full season of Winner's Circle Proxy service, so you can play from anywhere, but you also get a VSiN tour. Come hang out with us, say hello. A free month of VSiN Pro is a part of it as well. But again, entries close Sunday. Head over to winnercircleproxy.com/VSiN for more information.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The Circa Survivor documentary is heating up, ladies and gentlemen, and this coming week's episode is called Turning Point for a good reason. In week 5, for the first time in Circa Survivor history, the number 1 pick of the week goes down in flames on a Thursday night, and the chaos that follows, unlike anything the contest had ever seen. By the time weeks 6 through 9 play out, the contenders separate from the pretenders, and the pressure starts to get very, very real. 18.7 mil on the line. You can check out the next episode coming up Wednesday at 9 Eastern right here on VSiN. Plus, if you want to play catch up. Episodes 1 and 2 available on demand on YouTube right now. All you need to do is search VSiN Live. And speaking of Circus Survivor, VP of Operations here at Circa Resort and Casino, Mike Palm, hanging around for another segment. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. One of your passions, I think is fair to say, over the last handful of years. I mean, honestly, dating back to, I feel like forever, maybe you've loved women's basketball, but the WNBA has been in the forefront a lot more recently. We were talking on the show yesterday about this whole Paige Beckers, Angel Reese betting thing that the WNBA ultimately put on their own social media. Could you believe that, A, they put that out, and then B, that there's no punishment from any of this?
Stormy, it's just not a serious league. I mean, that's the problem. And it's a cause more than it is a league. It's a cause. And I had Annie Costabile on Palm Saturdays, who's the athletics writer for women's basketball, so she covers college and WNBA. She's a Chicago girl, grew up in the North. You know, and I asked her why she ended up covering women's basketball. She could have covered anything, and I played her Chiney's quote about we've gotten so far astray from basketball instead of talking about the game. And her answer was, it's a league of mostly African American and mostly queer women, so it's always going to be about social justice, right? That all these storylines. I'm glad that they didn't do anything. It's ridiculous to begin with. I mean, let's just move on. But the fault of how dumb they are that their own social media puts it out there.
Yeah.
They're so tone deaf. Now, JVT, I have to tell you, I was miffed that I could not get a press credential for the All-Star Weekend. And then you explained this whole ridiculous process of the Aces. You have to link to 3 articles you've written on the WNBA to even be considered. Yeah. Did you watch the Aces post-game presser last night?
No.
So it was an incredible game. Yeah. If you watched it on Ian, back and forth. So the first question with the Liberty out there, and it was their coach and Stewie and then the French guard, Paula Astier.
Yeah, Astier, yeah.
So I just loved it. So the first questions go to Jasmine Lucas from the Her Game Network. I had to immediately get on my lap, right? Her Game Network is a Las Vegas-based podcast that covers. So she asked the general question about defending Asia, and Asia only had, 6 points at half, and then in the second half she had 30 or whatever. Her second question was to Paula Astier, and she said, how were you able to provide such a spark off the bench? To which Breanna Stewart had to say, she started 14 straight games for us. I mean, it is, JVT is incredible. Yeah. It is absolutely incredible. By the way, I had a great time Saturday in Chicago. I decided to make a day of it because the show got over at 9 and the game wasn't until 7:30. So Aflac had a panel discussion hosted by your girl, Ari Chambers, with Diana Taurasi, Dawn Staley, Kayla McBride, and Raven Johnson. I thought that was really good. And then there was a fan event where you got to meet a bunch of different WNBA players. I got to meet Lexi Hall. Anisha Morrow was there, who's the Chicago girl that played for DePaul before she started LSU. She just got traded from Connecticut to Toronto. So this is also WNBA trade deadline. Yep. And I think the most interesting thing, Collier, obviously, and Plum, right, who are in the last years of their contracts. Apparently, Plum has made it well known to the upper management she's not going to re-sign with the Sparks. So where is she going to go? I know Golden State's a little bit of a rumor. If you have Valkyrie's tickets like I do, I don't think I want that deal. I think she disrupts the way they play as a team. She's a very ball-dominant guard. Yeah. She has to have the ball. So I don't know if that deal is going to be pulled off or not, but kind of flying under the radar will be what happens with the WNBA trade deadline.
Is this one of these things where she's healthy but just waiting to get traded? Because she's been out since the end of June, right?
She's been out 3 more games than it was said she was going to be out, right? And so now I don't know, why would you play her until the weekend's over and you know where she's going to go?
Sure. No, I'm with you. I think the Valkyries have been really good defensively too, and I don't know if she fits exactly in with what they're doing on that end of the floor. I can understand you look at it and go, we need 23 points per game, but I don't know if that automatically translates to what you're doing as a team.
I think she disrupts the way they play.
Yep.
Valkyries aren't playing today, but there are 3 games in action. I know one that caught your attention was the Fever and Fire going head-to-head, and the Fever have been, we know that they're the most efficient offense in the W right now, but they've been scoring like crazy these last few games.
But it's about pace, though, and JVT will tell you, as anybody that does analytics, it's about possessions per game and then efficiency per possession. They just play at a pace where they don't care about giving up a few layups in a game. They want to get out and run, right? They really do, and I hope people remember the first time they went to Portland, it was like a Saturday night CBS game. They got drilled. They got absolute. That was the game where she told Caitlin Clark to get up from the bench, remember, and then didn't put her back in. Talking about Stephanie White, the head coach. So I like Fever, but I think this is going to be another game. Over 188 is the way I played it. These games, you watch these teams, it's like a coin flip whether they're going to score 100 now. The league's out of control. A lot of it has to do with the officiating, though. There's 9 more free throws per game on average. I mean, of course that factors. That increases the points per game by 7. Yep. Just that.
I know Kazarian's been all over this, but some of these officiating decisions, too. Yesterday, very, very clear out of bounds on it was Asia Wilson, right? She literally just dribbles it off of her foot.
Just watch her reaction. Yes. She puts her hand in her head. They're up 3 with 16 seconds, and she giving the ball away. No.
Official's like, nope.
No.
It's pretty bad at this point.
They don't have a challenge.
Yeah.
They don't have a challenge. But like in the officials, if they think they missed it, can go to the monitor and look at that. What was even more ridiculous was the 5-point play the night before that the Dream got beat. The Dream won. Dallas is up 4 with 20 seconds to go. And they shoot a 3, and girl goes out to defend it, right? And there's contact on the arm or there's not contact on the arm, and she comes down, and they challenge it because the coach for Dallas doesn't think there's contact on the arm. And they look at it and they say there was, and by the way, their feet touch, so it's also a closeout flagrant 1. So they gave her 3 shots in the ball. She hits all 3. They make a bucket, and they win by 1.
Get out of here.
Well, Dallas has the ball late. They run an ISO for Paige, and she passes into the corner, and they miss the shot. Yeah. But they have converted a 5-point play with 3 in the ball. Yeah. Hit on the arm and the foot touch, so it's a closeout foul.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Anything else in the W you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No. I'm interested to see with Minnesota. Obviously, Minnesota's been the best team. How does Collier getting back into this? Because it's a whole different way they play without her, that they had to go the whole first part of the year. How does that get into the mix? I don't think there's that many teams that can win the title. I honestly think it might only be 3 teams that can win the title this year. And so
Minnesota, Vegas, Golden State?
Yes.
So you wouldn't include
don't think Indiana or Indiana?
The Liberty might not. The Liberty are flirting with having to fight for a playoff spot. The Fever and the Wings don't play enough defense in my mind.
Agree.
It's like the NBA. When you get to the playoffs, it becomes a half-court game.
When they start hunting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just don't think they can. I know Mitch bet the Fever at 18-1 or whatever. Mm-hmm. I said you should have told me I'd have booked it.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, it's basketball, and when you get to that postseason, it's half court oriented and it's mismatch hunting the entire time. And defenders, we'll call them like a Caitlin Clark. It's almost every possession you're going to be putting
ISO.
every
action. They will
action.
ISO her every time,
and it's going to be a problem.
We haven't talked to you since all the LeBron news came down in the NBA. Do you care? What do you think about him going to Philly?
Just be done with it. Whatever. But the super team. But you got a guy that's never healthy. So I don't know is it a super. I don't know. I don't care. It's just. I mean, it was so ridiculous. He had to wait for World Cup to get over to make the announcements. Whatever. Maybe Philly will be relevant. Whatever. I don't care.
I hope the report is true that he held off. He was ready to announce his decision, but then Silver said, I'm getting kind of annoyed because we need to settle the schedule. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to wait till you know this.
I said, now we're just waiting for Aaron Donald to find out if he's going to come back to L.A. Now we're waiting for another star player to find out where he's going to go.
Stormy, what are your thoughts? You're going to be covering college football for ESPN again?
Rumor has it.
Any hot takes going in? Anything we should know? Any futures
really
you like?
Oh, yeah.
What's my hot take?
What is it?
New Mexico playoff team.
Oh, yeah, I did.
When I know the coach, because the coach is a friend of Bill Crim. What a great job he did last year with that team. Was supposed to win 3 games.
What is your
he's
man,
great.
by the way?
They only lost 3 games. No, he was awesome. The turnaround they had, what they're bringing back, and then.
But what about Hawaii? Everybody here. Everybody here is on Hawaii. I bet Notre Dame to go 12-0 and not make the semifinals.
Oh, I like it.
They said if they're that good, I said they just have to beat Miami at home. But I don't think they're that. If they were that good, why would Tim Murray now suddenly pretend he went to Hawaii? He would still pretend he went to Notre Dame if he thought they were going to win the title.
He looks Hawaiian.
Yeah. Gilligan. He looks like Gilligan.
I would say, hey, one of us at the network rode up the Mountain West and has been very high on Hawaii for months now. So
he's a big Micah Alejado stan.
I think they're ignored because people still have the perception they don't win on the road, JBT.
Yeah, sure.
That's why I think you can still get 4-1 on them or whatever to win the conference.
Bet them at 6-1 to win the conference. It's moved since then.
Very nice.
To reiterate for our audience, all 3 of the big boys, North Dakota State, New Mexico, and UNLV, have to go out to the islands this year.
I just didn't think it made sense that New Mexico is 20-1 when all of these other teams are sub 10-1. There's the numbers play in my brain. Mike Palm, everybody, make sure you check him out. Palm Saturdays, 104.3 The Score in Chicago. We will be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Roll along here, Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. Excited, as always, on a Friday to bring in our good friend Will Hill on the Progressive Guest Line. VSiN host, analyst, writer over at Fox Sports, also host of the Should Have Bet More podcast. You can download wherever you get your podcast, and hopefully my voice will
keep it together.
Push through this. You can also catch Will tonight, VSiN prime time, holding it down from 7 to 11 Eastern alongside Femi Abebefe. I got it out, Will. I got it out.
What's going on? Yeah, I don't mind. I'm kind of half paying attention to my spot right now doing the show, and I got half an eye on the Yankees and the Cubs here, sweating out a little no run in the second inning, a little under in the first 5. So it's all good. It's the summer, and it's different flow to the summer as opposed to like football season when we're getting going in a month, 6 weeks or so.
And we'll talk some football in a moment, but to stick with this game that we've got going on right now, what have you thought of the Yankees, midway through their week out there in the Windy City and the split against the White Sox before they headed into this game?
Typical Aaron Boone baseball. This has been a trend for the Yankees, and the players keep changing. The manager's the same, and it's the same thing where they struggle in close games. They struggle against good teams. They struggle in extra innings. It's just situational baseball, defense, base running. It's all poor. And there's a saying with coaches, if you're either coaching it or you're allowing it, and they don't execute well in these spots of these games. And right now I would still probably look towards a live under in this game just because that lineup, no Chisholm, no Bellinger, no Judge, no Stan. I mean, there's just you're really piecing it together. And I don't know what they're going to get at the deadline because there's not that many sellers. I mean, you can talk about Ryan Jeffers of the Twins as a catcher. Okay, I don't even know if Minnesota's going to sell. Minnesota's a game out of a playoff spot. So I don't know how you're going to revamp this lineup. I guess the best answer is to get some of these guys healthy, probably add a reliever. So it'll be a fun deadline here in the next few days. But the Yankees are just piecing it together. Now, the rotation's great. Fried, Schlittler, Cole. I saw the Yankees are 8-1 to get Skubal. That I can't imagine they're in the hunt for him. That's not their issue right now. So that's a fun market to keep an eye on. The Yankees right now really struggling offensively.
Yeah, and to your point, too, about the errors and whatnot, was it yesterday? Was it Dominguez who slid late into third trying to leg out a triple and slides past the bag and then gets tagged out in a game in which, very pivotal, right, in a one-run game that ended up being, 2-1 in extras. So, all right, let's talk about what you've got here today in Major League Baseball. You mentioned your Yankees play. Anything else that is on the top of mind? I think the Nats were one of those plays that you were looking at.
Natitude, baby. The Fighting Tim Murrays. I'll take the Nationals. I am taking the first 5. I'm staying away from that bullpen. I think the 3 of us might be able to hit like 280 off that bullpen. That bullpen stinks. But Foster Griffin, and we'll see here what his status is after the deadline and the Nationals think. Are they in it? Are they out of it? Do you cash in the chip here? But Griffin has been really good. Great numbers in terms of command, walks, chase, all the underlying stuff. Now, the stuff isn't overpowering or great, but the results have been really good, and I think it's sustainable. Elder's been kind of a negative regression candidate all year. I think that negative regression kind of started to catch up to him. He's had a hard time keeping the ball in the ballpark. So I got the better pitcher with the Nats. You're never going to have a better lineup than the Nats. Nats are about as good as an offense as there is in the sport. I know Acuna's back for the Braves, so it feels weird to lay $1.20 when you're on the road against the Braves, but I think it's the right side. Pitching advantage to the Nationals, probably a lineup advantage to the Nationals, and we're playing the first 5, so we're staying away from the bullpens.
Another game I know you were looking at was this Royals-Rockies matchup. Kansas City licking their wounds a little bit after losing that series to the Twins the way they did. Cody Clemens walks it off on the final pitch of the game with a grand slam. Final 0-2 count, down 2 outs already. They're just absolute crazy fashion the way that played out yesterday. Can they bounce back today? Virtual pick'em game, slight movement toward them around -112 against the Rockies.
Yeah, it's the old wiffle ball backyard, down 3 runs, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and you hit a grand slam. I've never heard this term, or at least if I did, I forgot it. The ultimate grand slam when you're down 3 runs and you hit a walk-off grand slam. I like the Royals. Sagano, I mentioned, or I suggested the three of us can hit 280 off the Nationals bullpen. The three of us might be able to hit 380 off Sagano. Sagano's numbers, when you look under the hood, are awful. I know he's got some pretty good traditional stats. The ERA is in the mid-4s. The expected ERA is in the 1 percentile. So is the hard contact. I mean, you just name a stat, and it's not good. So Walker, another guy here, probably on the move here, probably going to have a different team in 3 or 4 days. He's been solid. He was an all-star. I just think you got to fade Sagano. So I played the Royals for the full game. JVT and I always talk about this. You got the pitcher you want to fade. Sometimes that's the easy part. The tough part and the part that can twist your mind into a pretzel is like, all right, how do I do it? Do I just play the pitcher under his strikeouts? Do I play the team total over, first 5 team total over? I'll stick with the full game here. I think all of those ones I suggested, first 5 team total over, any of that stuff is probably good. But I think the Royals clearly the right side here with the better pitcher. I don't know how you back Sagano. I know a week ago he won is like a $2 dog against Milwaukee, but I would imagine he's in for a rough performance. I don't play a lot of these home run bets, home run parlays, but probably not the worst idea if you're looking just for a little action, a little pizza money. Pick 2 or 3 guys on the Royals, little home run parlay. Sagano, I think, with all that hard contact, probably due for to give up a couple long balls here tonight.
All right, let's get to college football. I'll leave one of the plays for Stormy because she's very high on one of your selections. And I wrote up the SEC, so I want to go here and see if you have the same thoughts. Vandy was a team, I kind of tried to go in with a blank slate, Will, and I came out going, I don't know. I don't like this about the Commodores and what they're looking at this season. Do you agree?
I do. You get a couple gimmies off the bat, but after that, it's a lot of games where it's either a toss-up or you're just a flat-out significant dog. And say what you want about Diego Pavane. I like the under 5.5 wins. It's, with these win totals, you can kind of pick your juice. And I actually don't mind laying a little extra juice if you really think that extra win is going to secure your bet from being like a good bet to a great bet. But I'll call it like under 5.5 at plus money. I think it is, but shop around, get the best number. Say what you want about Pavia. Polarizing guy, not going to translate to the next level. He was a tremendous college quarterback. You lose him, replace him with a freshman. I know 5-star guy, he's got some pedigree, but still, you lose Stowers, probably the best tight end in the country. He's on the Eagles now. Best receiver, Richardson, he's gone. It's just, Vandy's not a team. It's not Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, where, all right, we lost these guys to the pros and we replenish, we restock. And I like the coach. I just think this is more of a gap year, a transition year. Not a lot of layups after the first few weeks. I'm on the under here for Vandy.
JVT was a good teammate there because, yes, I am very pro Penn State. In a world of Matt Campbell
I think you called
haters.
them the best team in the country.
No, I did not. In a world, though, of Matt Campbell haters, I am a believer, especially with the schedule that we see Penn State laying out with this year. I feel like if some of those Iowa State transfers pan out and Rocco Beck stays healthy, they're absolutely a playoff sleeper. How do you see them?
I'm looking at the schedule. I got it right in front of me. Oregon's a good team. I don't see them. Indiana, national champ. They're a good team. I don't see them. Ohio State, they're usually pretty good at football. Don't see them. I mean, they lucked out. And you get USC at home, where USC has not traveled well. They've not traveled well west to east. That's a pretty favorable situation. At Michigan is not an easy game. At Washington is not an easy game. But I think there's a very real scenario here with Penn State, even if they're not that good, is 10-2. And a 10-2 Big Ten team. Get ready for all these debates come December, guys. We're going to have them. The 10-2 Big Ten team with the soft schedule versus the 9-3 SEC team that played the gauntlet. People are going to go to war over this stuff, but I just think 10-2 is very possible. I'll bank the plus 350 to make the playoffs, put that in the account, and I think you're in good shape. Even thought about Penn State 20-1 Big Ten title game just because with that schedule, maybe you get to the game and you can figure out what to do with that ticket later, but I think Penn State plus 350 to make the playoffs is a solid bet.
All right, we were talking about Pat Fitzgerald and Michigan State the other day, and I heard a great point brought up by a couple of college football pundits that, the last few years at Northwestern didn't go as well as I think people thought they did if you just look back fondly on his 4 wins over the course of those seasons. What are we expecting for Pat Fitzgerald in his first go-around here out on the field?
Not much, nothing good. And you know this from covering these press conferences, talking to these guys. I've got some friends that covered Big Ten Media Day, and they said, talking to Fitzgerald on the record, off the record, doesn't sound like he's expecting much. I like Toledo plus the 11.5 in week 1. I also like Michigan State under their win total. I think game-to-game Michigan State might be a good under team where, you know these buzzwords, and you guys know this from covering these teams. He keeps talking about toughness, preaching toughness. To me, that screams, hey, we're going to run the ball. We're limited on offense. We're limited at receiver. I don't know that they're 11.5 points better than anyone reasonable. I'll take Toledo plus the points. I think Toledo's kind of live in the game, and I live in Connecticut. A lot of people excited. Oh, they got the Toledo coach coming to UConn. I know it's in the weeds, but he lost a lot of games he shouldn't have lost at the MAC. I know they won some championships, but I don't know that Candle, who's going from Toledo to UConn, is a great coach. So I'm not sure that there's a big coaching downgrade like is kind of baked in here. There might be an upgrade, if anything. So I think Toledo, again, very live here, and I am down on Michigan State. I think they are in for a very long year here. It's going to be hard for them to get to 4 wins.
I love that we are already getting ahead of it to week 1 games, and you're like, you know what? What do I want to throw in the account? Toledo plus the points. Let's get it going. Well,
brother.
You're tremendous. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
See you soon.
All right. See you guys in a few days. How about that?
Yeah, in the flesh, ladies and gentlemen. But before he gets here in person,
go pump some iron.
Remember, check him out tonight, VSiN Primetime, alongside Femi Abebefe, getting underway at 7 Eastern. And as we go, the sports calendar goes as well. Things are never stopping here, and the Sharp Plays is covering it all, winning for 15 straight years. All of it documented, logs posted publicly at sharpplays.com as well. That kind of transparency, rare in the industry. Remember, when the Sharp Plays moves, the sports books take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel, they're finding value before the numbers shift. Start winning with them at sharpplays.com. We got to step aside here on Money Moves, kicking off hour 2 next with our NFL training camp tour. Where might we be stopping today?